And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 29th day of July 2022. And hey, it's a beautiful day here in Brisbane today, 11 degrees and sunny. And hey, thank God it's Friday. Well, looking forward to this weekend, especially with so many functions and events happening. It's unbelievable, the number of functions and events now taking place right here in Brisbane. All these artists who were been on standby for the last couple of years due to pandemic are now all just coming, because unbelievably, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, and all different shows. We have all the Gujarati functions happening, like the Navratri and the Ras, Garba, and all the Punjabi ones coming as well. We've had Tej and all other events. And of course, the big event is India Day Fair on the 13th of August. So the countdown begins, and we'd like to see you all there. It's shaping up very well this year, and hopefully, we'll have a good turnout this year after being in the lockdown, and we saw in the last couple of years the challenges that we had to put together India Day Fair. But this year is going to be different once again with your support. We'd like to see you all there. So today we have first of all, our daily news, and then we'll go to our daily India report. With the news, we'll go around the country beginning in Canberra.
At first glance, it seems this small crowd gathered outside Calvary Hospital has cause for celebration. But far from it. The nurses and midwives are calling for more staff, more support, and 2 one-off payments for recognition and retention.
Nurses and midwives are certainly asking us when they can strike. They've had enough, they're burnt out, and they believe that the government isn't listening.
The ACT government says it's working through enterprise agreement negotiations for a wage increase, and will use next week's territory budget to try to improve conditions.
This is a really important announcement in recognising the workload issues that our staff are facing and the increasing demand on our health services.
A $3 million investment will deliver 5 additional nurse practitioners, 1 for each of the capital's 5 walk-in centres, along with some admin staff. While $16.4 million will be spent supporting after-hours services and expanding the allied health workforce, so more physiotherapists, psychologists and social workers.
We know that there actually are available workers in the allied health workforce, and we'll get cracking with that recruitment as quickly as possible.
In total, 170 additional staff are expected to be employed over the next 2 years.
The government's narrative is really confused. It's saying that it's going to fund all these extra positions. On the other hand, they're saying we can't get extra nurses and midwives.
A further $7.2 million has been set aside to boost workplace safety and support, with a particular focus on psychosocial wellbeing and addressing occupational violence. The ACT government formally rejected the proposal for 2 $3,000 support payments earlier this month. Today's calls received the same response. Chief Minister Andrew Barr hands down the territory budget on August the 2nd. Emmy Groves, ABC News.
And of course, we have seen that happening, and we have seen that throughout the pandemic that these workers are in many instances overworked, and so the area and the sector does need urgent attention. but of course, everything needs to be costed and made affordable as well. In making the budget, the funds needs to be transferred from one department or one area to the other, because there is only so much in the pool. But right now, still on ICT government announces big funding for arts and festivals and music.
A 10th anniversary celebration. Australia's leading Indigenous performing arts company, Bangarra Dance Theatre, is restaging its iconic work, Terrain.
Terrain is really exploring the relationship and I guess the different representations of what connection to country means to Indigenous people.
The stage for this special performance, the Canberra Theatre Centre, is set to receive its own upgrade.
It's a project that I know many people have been very passionate about for many years.
The $28 million redevelopment includes a new theatre, with hopes it will bring more major shows to the capital.
Where are our major blockbusters? Where is Hamilton? We will be able to bring that with a 2,000-seat theatre, as well as with a studio and rehearsal space.
It's part of a major funding injection into the arts sector, which will see improvements and support provided to grassroots arts centres and organisations.
We've also announced close to $1 million in upgrades down at the Lanyon Homestead. Our historic places are just so integral to who we are as a city, where we've come from.
To have a fund.
And I believe that is a very good move in the right direction, because, arts and culture and many of the performing artists have really suffered during the pandemic. So any injection of capital in that direction would be a step in the right direction, as they reckon. Well, staying on Canberra, ICT, let's now go and take a look at this report while Caroline Kennedy pays tribute to the Australian War Memorial and the people who saved John F. Kennedy.
With all the drama of a Hollywood movie, Americans consider this JFK's origin story.
4 miles, a long way. It's only 3 inches on the chart, buddy.
How a young John Kennedy guided the injured crew of his patrol boat to safety after it was sunk by the Japanese in August 1943. But JFK also owed his survival to a secret unit of Australians and Solomon Islanders, working right under the noses of the enemy.
A clandestine network of coast watchers, working with local scouts.
JFK publicly recognised the Aussies' wartime role.
In fact, Reg Evans was actually entertained by JFK when he was president.
Caroline Kennedy grew up knowing the Australian link to her famous father too. So barely a week into her ambassadorship, she paid respects at the Australian War Memorial, speaking with the last 2 remaining coast watchers, now 97 and 98 years old.
And I'm so honoured to meet both of you.
It has personalised history from 80 years ago to today and just brought it to life with a very personal touch.
The Coast Watchers worked under arduous conditions, hidden on mountaintops and deep in jungles. Their job, to get intelligence and stay out of sight.
In my father's case, I know better than yours, he never actually saw any enemy, apart from through his binoculars.
Their dangerous work saved untold lives, including that young lieutenant who grew up to be president, and whose family legacy continues to shape world politics today. Craig Allen, ABC News, Canberra.
And isn't that a wonderful report? Lest we forget, we should always remember those people who saved and, under those very, very extreme conditions. Well, right now, let's go to South Australia, where officials, convicted officials, are able to charge South Australian taxpayers for legal fees.
York Peninsula MP Fraser Ellis is due to face trial next month on charges he fraudulently claimed $18,000 worth of a taxpayer-funded allowance.
Plead not guilty and I'm looking forward to clearing my name.
Mount Gambier MP Troy Bell is also set to fight charges of defrauding taxpayers of $52,000 under the same scheme. He strenuously denies the charges. Both MPs will be entitled to charge taxpayers for their legal bills, whether or not they're found guilty.
The public in Adelaide should be outraged by this development.
The MPs are free to claim the cash because they're charged with deception, something no longer within the ICAC's definition of corruption. The change made during a controversial overhaul of the state's ICAC, which passed Parliament unanimously in September.
Those of the opinion say aye, against say no. It's carried the clerk.
Before the law changed, politicians and public servants under ICAC scrutiny were only entitled to have their legal costs paid if no material adverse finding was made against them. The ICAC Commissioner, Anne Vanstone, has questioned the public interest in reimbursing public officers who are convicted going forward.
Hers isn't the only legal mind left baffled.
A politician could be caught out, defended, be found guilty, and be the subject of scathing observations by a magistrate, and then still recover his or her costs for having unsuccessfully defended the matter. That's crazy.
The major parties who both supported the changes cannot explain why they did.
I'd want to seek advice on that just to understand exactly what those circumstances are.
The legislation is what it is, and it's set the threshold where it has, and I think we just need to see that working its way through.
The ABC.
So the legislation is what it is. Well, if it is, so it is. And staying on South Australia right now, let's look at the South Australian government makes a deal with private hospitals. As we have seen, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that sector.
Adelaide's newest ambulance crew ready for their first day on the road.
And there's rats and stuff in here too.
With the latest COVID wave rolling on, Nord paramedics will work out of Parkside until their new station is built, as part of the state government's $187 million upgrade of ambulance bases.
When you build a new station in one area, that helps the station down the road, which helps the station down the road from that. So the whole system is interconnected.
The system, the Premier acknowledges, will take years to update. More pressing is the need for extra hospital capacity amid the current wave of COVID and flu cases. Private hospitals will take another 107 public patients under a new agreement.
The equivalent of about the size of, say, Noarlunga Hospital coming on additional capacity.
It frees up ward capacity to take patients from the emergency department, and that is where bed blockage happens.
More than 130 beds are already being used in the private system.
They're managing their own staffing issues as well, but there's been a strong willingness to come to the table of how to help the broader health system deal with this COVID issue.
330.
How to deal with this issue? Well, of course, they are working through the details, and we'll find out. Now to the next news. So we look at, if you have a boarding school and if it's about to close, isn't it your duty of disclosure to let people know that this is going to happen? This is why an exclusive boarding school announces a shock closure.
Angry, confused and looking for answers.
It's impossible to find them a seat for next 6 weeks.
Vijay Jaswal says the school never gave him any idea what was about to happen.
The emails that came in from school were very vague. They were taking admissions on the day they knew that they are going into administration.
A snap meeting was called last night where parents and students were told the school was going into voluntary administration.
As additional funding and finance has not been forthcoming, the directors could not continue to operate the school.
That means for students in years 3 to 10, tomorrow will be their last day. Year 11 and 12 students can stay on until they find another school, but that won't be easy. Colmont was one of the few schools in the state to teach the international baccalaureate program, meaning they can't simply swap into the VCE.
And my first response was to cry because it's such a stressful year already, being in year 12, our final year, and we're so close to the finish line.
There's an overwhelming fear of the future. Our subjects, we only have very specialised subjects here, and a lot of the IB schools in Melbourne don't really offer them.
Other independent schools that teach the IB program have offered to help. Parents will hear more about that at a meeting tonight, but any alternative would mean at least an extra hour of commuting each day, and there won't be any refunds for the fees they've already paid.
So they go into voluntary administration because the directors have decided that without the forthcoming funding, the school was unsustainable at the level that it was. So, the directors are doing what the directors or the board of directors are appointed for, to look after or safeguard or under ethics laws, etc. That if it's the company is no longer viable or soluble, they must declare that and they must let that know. Well, right now, this is a bit of a shocking news. A man jailed over haste at the gun shop.
It was a brazen robbery carried out in the dead of night at the Claremont Firearms store in Yangebup in November 2019. Hundreds of guns were taken, but only a handful were recovered, found by police after a tip from the member of the public in the Beelia Regional Park. The guns had been buried there in the hours after the robbery, which the district court was told had been well planned. It had included surveillance of the business in the weeks before, and the thieves then gaining access to the premises and its secure vault, so holes could be pre-cut into thick concrete walls. A vehicle was also stolen to transport the guns. It was later set alight and destroyed. Police investigations led to the arrest of 30-year-old Ashley Christensen, who, along with his friend, 33-year-old James Egan, was found guilty by a jury of involvement in the heist. Christensen has now been sentenced to 10 years jail, while Egan was handed a 9-year term. Judge John Stoudy described the burglary as a highly sophisticated criminal enterprise. He said while others must have been involved, Christensen and Egan had played an integral role in the crime's success. A third man, Nicholas Ronzitti, was found guilty of being an accessory by helping bury the firearms.
Can you tell us where the guns are, Mr. Ronzitti?
He was given a 12-month suspended jail term.
I was very happy, of course, particularly with the sentences that the others got, 9 or 10 years, and he just got involved with some people that he shouldn't, and the circumstances where he should have avoided.
While the total retail value of the stolen firearms was around $200,000, Judge Stoudy said their value on the black market would be much higher. He said the firearms that had not yet been found remain a lasting threat to public safety.
And they are a public threat, and of course, very well planned something, and it's hard to believe it's happening right here. Well, right now, Michael Gunner says he's had enough of politics.
From a fresh-faced beginning 14 years ago to the most powerful role in the Northern Territory, Michael Gunner pulled the plug on politics altogether on Wednesday night, 2 months after stepping down as Chief Minister.
Tonight I resign as the member for Fanny Bay. The reasons are the same. What is the best for the people I serve and what is best for my family.
He says his constituents in the electorate of Fanny Bay deserve a member who can give them everything.
This job, being a member, is one that is and should be all-consuming. I don't know any other way to do it.
As he bowed out, his colleagues reflected on his time as leader.
You certainly gave me enormous support and the confidence and backed us in to make decisions, and it wasn't easy, and I know on you it was particularly personally tough.
The first Territory born and raised Chief Minister did not muck around. He hit the ground running from the moment he was elected to Chief.
Obviously, we've talked about your grey hair and how you used to have black hair and now it's all grey.
On the streets of his electorate of Fanny Bay, residents reacted to the news.
We've been poorly represented, and there's lots of things to be done in our area, so we need someone that's enthusiastic and ready to go and get things done.
I think he was a good balance between not being too young to not really know what he's doing, but also not so old that he didn't reflect our thoughts or experience.
His time as Chief Minister has not been without controversy, and for better or worse, his response to the Territory's most recent challenge may for some locals be his legacy.
The Chief Minister who brought the Territory through COVID, probably.
I don't always agree that things should be mandated. It should be people's choice. But this is the first pandemic we've had to deal with, so I think we were in uncharted waters.
On the front foot, the opposition's getting ready for next month's by-election, set for August 20, and plans to announce its candidate next week.
Last night, the Country Liberal Party made that decision to go out to pre-selection on the resignation of Michael Gunner, and we have been overwhelmed with applications and people interested in running for Territorians.
There's no news yet from Labor about its candidate, but the outgoing member says he'll be staying put in the Territory with no immediate plans for a new job.
I say goodbye to Territory politics, but I am Territory for life.
Felicity James, ABC News.
So, wishing him all the best, out of politics, yes, but not leaving the Territory, as you mentioned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report. And with that, let's welcome anybody.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and much more on India and the Indian diaspora. Indian government has issued guidelines for monkeypox requiring 21-day isolation and wearing a 3-layered mask. A 21-day isolation, wearing a mask, following hand hygiene, keeping lesions fully covered and waiting for those to fully heal are among the guidelines by the Indian government for monkeypox patients and their contacts. The national capital has reported one confirmed case of monkeypox, taking the total number of such patients in the country to 4. Till now, 14 contacts of Delhi's first monkeypox patient have been identified and none of them have shown symptoms. Sources said, adding one of the contacts had complained of body ache but he is doing fine now and has no symptoms. Another suspected case has been admitted to Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Hospital in Delhi and the samples have been sent to the National Institute of Virology, Pune. Officials, however, said there is no need to panic. One has to stay in isolation for 21 days from the last contact with a monkeypox patient or their contaminated materials, they said. Monkeypox is a viral zoonosis that gets transmitted to humans from animals, with symptoms similar to those seen in smallpox patients but clinically less severe. The Indian government's target is to deliver last-mile connectivity by 2026 to at least 1.2 billion of its citizens through fibre or coaxial cable, providing reasonably priced and quality internet. This will make India the largest connected nation in the world. We bring you the third and final part of an exclusive, wide-ranging interview with Rajiv Chandrasekhar, India's Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology and Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. The minister said India's BharatNet is the largest national rural broadband network in the world. However, the goal is to expand BharatNet with a combination of a 5G rollout to link all 650,000 villages across India with digital connectivity using the internet.
We are today at about 80 crore Indians who are connected in various ways to the internet. 40 crore Indians still are unconnected. They use the internet through various intermediaries like the CSCs that we have created. And over the next 2 to 3 years, through a combination of BharatNet and the 5G launch, we believe that 1.2 billion Indians are going to be online, making us the largest connected nation in the world. We are already the largest connected democracy in the world. We don't really consider China's internet to be internet at all anyway. It's a walled off network. But by 26 we will be the largest connected country in the world, and every Indian will have access to internet of a reasonably high quality. So this is our vision, this is our goal. And with BharatNet, which the Honorable Prime Minister launched some years ago, which is the world's largest rural broadband connectivity project, 6.5 lakh villages, and citizens in those 6.5 lakh villages will have fiber or a minimum coax connectivity to the internet. So it's a huge exercise that started a few years ago that will, in my opinion, complete by 2026.
Congress Party President Sonia Gandhi was questioned again by India's Enforcement Department for over 3 hours in the National Herald case. Indian National Congress President Sonia Gandhi was questioned by the Enforcement Directorate on 27 July for over 3 hours for the third time in the National Herald newspaper linked money laundering case. No fresh summons was issued, indicating that her questioning was over. Sonia has been questioned for over 11 hours in 3 days and faced around 100 questions, officials said. Her first round of questioning took place on July 21st. The investigators included the main probe officer and a person who made notes out of statements dictated by Congress chief. Questioning pertains to the charge of alleged financial irregularities in the Congress-promoted Young India Private Limited, which owns the National Herald newspaper. The Congress chief is understood to have stuck to the party's position that no personal assets were made in the Associate Journals Limited Young India deal and that the routine affairs were handled by other office bearers, including late Motilal Vohra. ₹20 crores cash gold bars seized from second home of an associate of West Bengal minister. At least 20 crores in cash and gold jewellery and bars have been recovered from another house of Arpita Mukherjee, a close aide of Bengal's arrested minister Partha Chatterjee, days after a huge pile of notes was found in one room of one of her houses, according to sources in the Enforcement Directorate. This time officials found the currency from a shelf at one of her apartments on the northern fringes of the country, sources said. Bank officials are still counting the cash on the spot with note counting machines. Sources say ED also found more documents that are being examined. During a raid a week ago, the officials have recovered a diary with around 40 pages of notes that could provide crucial leads in investigation. ED has also recovered several deeds of properties that could implicate Partha Chatterjee. Indian government claims that the Indian currency, the rupee, has weakened against the US dollar but has strengthened against other major currencies such as the British pound, the Japanese yen and the euro during 2022. The Indian Minister of State for Finance, Pankaj Chaudhary, blamed global factors such as Russia-Ukraine conflict, soaring crude oil prices and tightening of global financial conditions as being major reasons for weakening of Indian rupee against the US dollar. The exchange rate is only one of the several different factors such as demand for domestic and foreign goods, commodity prices, crude oil prices, etc. that affect India's export and import demand. However, the Indian government claimed that merchandise exports touched a record high of US dollars for $421.9 billion during 2021 to 22. India's exports during each month of the current year have been higher than those of corresponding months of 2021. The overall impact of exchange rate depreciation on domestic prices depends on the extent of pass-through of international commodity prices to the domestic market, the minister stated. South African tourism launches digital campaign for India. South African tourism has announced the launch of a digital campaign for India in partnership with Air Seychelles. It is a deal-driven campaign, yet the tourism board hopes to engage with millennials and Indian families. This campaign is an extension of its More and More campaign launched earlier this year and will drive consumers to make their travel bookings with direct calls to action, it said. At a time when fuel prices and airfares are rising, a value-driven offering by Tourism Board is expected to significantly support and encourage the rapidly growing Indian tourist footfalls in South Africa. Neliswa Nakani, hub head, Middle East, India, Southeast Asia for the board, said, quote, "We are excited to launch this deal-driven campaign in India and are confident that consumers and corporates will see immense value in these deals as they continue to curate their South African adventures," end quote. Iconic music festival Lollapalooza arrives in India to be held in Mumbai city on January 28th and 29th in 2023. Lollapalooza, one of the most iconic music festivals, is finally coming to India. Lollapalooza India will be taking place in Mumbai across 2 dates, January 28 to 29, 2023. India is the 8th country after United States, Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, France and Sweden to host the festival. For the unversed, Lollapalooza is a 4-day music festival that takes place annually at Grand Park in Chicago. The lineup for Lollapalooza India, the first event in Asia following international editions in Berlin, Stockholm and Brazil among other countries in Europe and South America, is yet to be unveiled, but it will feature a mix of Indian and global artists. It is being reported that we can expect the lineup announcement by the end of August, as Lollapalooza India will be a full 2 days of music across 4 stages, as well as innovative culinary selections, art, fashion and more. Lollapalooza founder Perry Farrell shared in an announcement via Variety, "The music of India is transcendental. It draws our spirits east." Lollapalooza is an instrument for unity, peace and education, utilizing the universal languages of music and art to find common ground. After resounding success theatrically, R. Madhavan's debut directorial Rocketry in the Nambi Effect is now streaming on the OTT platform. The film buffs and millions of fans of R. Madhavan who missed the theatrical release will now be able to see the film Rocketry in the Nambi Effect on OTT giant Amazon Prime Video. The OTT platform said on social media, quote, "It's time to delve deep into Nambi's Rocketry escapade. Rocketry on Prime, watch now," end quote. Rocketry, the Nambi Effect is R. Madhavan's passion project, and the film is written, produced and directed by him. Madhavan also plays the lead role in the film. The biographical drama is based on the life of Nambi Narayanan, a former scientist and aerospace engineer of the Indian Space Research Organization. Narayanan, who gave up a potentially cushy job and future to return to India. In India, he was falsely accused in an espionage case. The ISRO scientist was acquitted after more than 20 years. Rocketry, the Nambi Effect also stars Simran and Rajit Kapoor. Shah Rukh Khan is in a cameo role in Hindi version of the film. Surya does the same in Tamil version of the movie. The film will also stream in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam languages. Rocketry, the Nambi Effect opened to mixed reviews. The film is said to have earned profit from its theatrical release. Actor R. Madhavan also shared a picture from the success party of the film on his social media. That's all in today's bulletin.
And thank you very much for that update. Well, right now, let's take a look at some of the functions and events taking place. And before we go to that, just a reminder that, we're back again tomorrow and at 10 a.m. And of course, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Okay, so tomorrow at 9 a.m. once again. And we'd like to once again remind everyone of India Day Fair that's coming up. Urdu Forum, together with the Sangeet Premi Club, offers a grand gala musical variety show. And you can win a free ticket to the event just by messaging Australian Indian Radio and mentioning this ad. And of course, that time is of the essence. Tickets are limited. Please call us now or send us a message on our Facebook page to win free tickets to the Urdu Forum and Sangeet Premi Club's Grand Gala Musical Night. Act now. Once again, GoPio Queensland presents iconic India Day Fair,
celebrating India's Independence Day on 13th August.
Come experience India at no cost at Roma Street Parklands.
Experience India's culture, music and food.
You will be entertained from 10:30 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. by many talented artists.
The program will begin with a parade from various community organizations,
finishing off with a grand finale laser light show.
Showstopper, one and only the Harbhajan Man, all the way from India.
Come join GoPio Queensland for a fun-filled family day and experience all that India has to offer.
For more information, visit our website www.gopioqueensland.org.
See you all there. Station sponsor, GoPio Queensland. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining in with the Daily India Report and the news update on Friday, the 29th of July. Well, it's gone up to 13 degrees now. Yes, 2 degrees up from when we started the show, and it's just a glorious day. This is what Brisbane is about, but, of course, from time to time, we have adverse weather conditions as well. Like any other place, we are not immune to that. So, once again, don't forget that tomorrow we will do the 9 o'clock program, and then we are back on Monday, and there's lots of interviews coming up. We'll have someone come in talking about what's going to happen at India Day Fair, what are the highlights there, and of course we'll be talking about the upcoming Krishna Janmashtami, ISKCON, and Ron Baker will be in here as well. He will be talking about his involvement with India Day Fair and talk about the Golden Key Realty. So that's so much to look forward to. So until next time, it's goodbye from us.